All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the world of data by learning the single most important command in SQL. You know, that's the language that's basically the engine behind your social media feed, your shopping cart, pretty much every app you use. We're going to figure out how to ask data the right questions, starting with our very first select.
I mean, think about it for a second. Every single time you browse an online store or you tap around on an app, you're dealing with a massive database. But all that information, it's pretty much useless unless you can actually ask it questions. How do we find one specific customer out of millions, or figure out which products are flying off the shelves? That's the exact problem we're here to solve. And the solution is a language called SQL, which stands for Structured Query Language. It's basically the universal way to talk to any database. And the heart and soul of SQL, the one command you will use more than literally any other, is select. It's how we tell the database, hey, this is the exact information I want you to show me. So let's start at the very beginning. Our first step is just asking the database a really simple question: what information do I want to see? Okay, so imagine for a minute that we're analysts at an online store. What you're looking at here is a little peek into our customers table. It's really just like a spreadsheet, right? You've got rows for each customer and columns for different bits of info, like their name, their email, and what city they live in. This is our raw material. Now, let's say your boss comes over with a pretty simple request. We need to send out a newsletter, so we need a list of every single customer's first name and their email address. How do we ask the database for just that information and nothing else? We translate that question into SQL. And you know what? It's surprisingly easy to read. Select tells the database which columns we're interested in this case, first name and email. Then from tells it which table to go look in, our customers table. That's all there is to it. We select the columns we want from the table where they live. Simple. And boom, there it is. The database gives us back exactly what we asked for and nothing more. We didn't get the last names, we didn't get the cities, just a clean, focused list that's ready to go for our newsletter. This is the core power of Select. It's all about precision. Getting the right columns is a fantastic start. But what if we don't actually want every single customer? Let's add the next tool to our kit, filtering, so we can ask for specific rows. Let's make our request a little more specific. Imagine our marketing team is planning a local event in London. They don't need a list of every customer on the planet. They only want to see the ones who live in London. To do this, we add a new piece to our query, the where clause. Think of where as your filter. It sets a condition, and the database will only give you back rows that match that condition. So here, we're just saying where the city column is equal to London. And just like that, our list is filtered. We see the columns we asked for, but only for our customers based in London. The where clause is awesome because it lets us cut right through all the noise and zero in on exactly the data we actually care about. But you know what? What if one filter isn't enough? Real-world questions are usually a bit more complex. For instance, maybe we need to find products that meet two conditions at the same time, like being in the electronics category and costing less than $100. For this, we use the AND operator. Now, what's really important to understand is how the database thinks about this. It does it in two steps. First, it goes and finds all the electronics. Then, from that smaller group, it checks the price and only keeps the ones that are under $100. Both conditions have to be true for a product to make the final. Okay, so we can get specific columns and we can get specific rows, but sometimes the order of the information is just as important as the information itself. So let's talk about how to organize our results. Here's a classic challenge. Human Resources wants to welcome the newest members of the team, so they need a list of the 5 most recently hired employees. This is actually a two-part problem. First, we've got to sort everyone by their hire date, and then we need to just grab the top 5 from that list. Step 1 is all about sorting. For that, we use the order by clause. We tell it to sort everything by the hire date column. And that keyword, DESC, that just stands for descending, which means it'll put the newest dates, the most recent ones, right at the top of our list. And here we go. Our employees table is now perfectly sorted, with the newest hire sitting right at the top. The order by clause did its job.
And now we're just one step away from our final answer.
Now for the really easy part. Once our data is sorted just right, we just need to tell the database to kind of slice off the top of that list. We do that with the limit clause. Limit 5 simply says, hey, after you're done all that sorting, just give me the first 5 rows you see. And there is our final result, a clean, simple list that directly answers the business question. By combining order by and limit, we've created a really powerful ranked report with just a single, simple command. So everything we've done up to this point has been about pulling back lists of existing data. But the real magic of SQL, where it gets really powerful, is when you stop asking for lists and you start asking it to calculate new information for you, to actually summarize the data.
Now think about this question for a second. We're not asking for a big list of products anymore. We're asking for a summary. We want the database to look at all of our products, put them into piles based on their category, and then just give us a count for each pile.
To pull this off, we use 2 new tools working together. First, Group by Category. Tells the database to put all the electronics rows into one bucket, all the books into another, and so on. Then the Count star function tells it to count how many rows ended up in each of those buckets. So the key here is we're not just getting rows back, we're creating new summary data.
And look at this output. We didn't get a giant, messy table of products. We got a simple, powerful summary that is perfect for throwing into a chart. With one command, we've turned raw, boring data into a genuine business insight. That's pretty cool. So let's do a quick recap of the awesome toolkit you've just built. You can select columns from a table. You can use where to filter for the exact rows you need. You can order by to sort your results and see what's most important. And you can group by to turn those long lists into powerful, easy-to-understand summaries. You now have the power to ask a single table pretty much any question you can think of. But I'll leave you with this final thought. What happens when a customer's name is in one table, but all of their orders are in a totally different one? How do you bring that information together to get a complete picture? That's the key to unlocking even more powerful insights. And it's the very next step on your SQL journey. Thanks for joining this explainer.